One of the main reasons, I invited Caleb to come out is because I respect him. He just dedicated to the sport, so when I seen that, I'm like, man, I got a lot of respect for this dude. Then I've seen him perform at a high level, which gave me more respect for him. Then I heard him talk, and I'm like, man, I love the mentality, I can relate. It's a constant evolution for a fighter, and he's in the process of evolving. The best rise to the top. Pressure does two things to people. It's either gonna crush you and immobilize you and have you unable to perform, or it's gonna push you to be great. And I think it's gonna push Caleb to be great.
I don't think Canelo would do that. I just don't. I don't think Canelo would ever say my name. He said my name, in the media, but not to that magnitude, like a call out or anything like that, man. I don't think Canelo would do that. I just don't. I don't think Canelo would ever say my name. He said my name, in the media, but not to that magnitude, like a call out or anything like that, man.
What's good, family? So mash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the bell. Wow, it's all kicking off right now, and I can't lie to you, man. I'm really praying. I really am praying, because it's quite interesting. About a month ago now, I did a video, or maybe less, however long, who knows. When talking about Canelo Alvarez's upcoming opponents, nothing really gets to YB semi-long, yeah? Never mind rock hard. Nothing gets to YB semi-long, yeah? But the Andre Ward fight, that is what you call, that's the Viagra. That's the YB's Viagra, the YB's Cialis of boxing fights. Now I know Andre Ward's not been massively active, but I don't care. I think at 175, the size difference Alvarez would give up would balance it all out. Andre Ward's inactivity, yes, Ward will definitely need 1 or 2 comeback fights within 6 months. I'd give him that. 2 comeback fights within 6 months, and then the Alvarez fight. Boom. Yes, Ward gives up the age, but Alvarez would give up the size and whatever else you want to talk about. Because let's not forget, you heard Andre Ward talking there. He was talking super duper greasy. Super greasy. And I rate that. He says to Alvarez, don't want to talk about his name. Not even a little bit. And now, like you heard there as well, he's training Caleb Plant. This for me feels a bit like Floyd Mayweather and Tyron Woodley to an extent. Giving them the tips. Clearly, I think Andre Ward feels some type of way. I think Andre Ward looks at his career and thinks, yeah, Alvarez is outdoing me, or has the potential to outdo me. Hopefully, I can get itty bitty Caleb Plant to beat him. If I can get Caleb Plant to stop him, that does me a favour, because that crosses, or most, yeah, more, to be honest, if Caleb Plant beat Alvarez, he'd be crossed out in my opinion. If Caleb Plant beat Alvarez, he'd be crossed out. That's a fact. So Andre Ward's thinking, if I can get him to beat Alvarez, then I'm nice. I can stay retired and stay nice. If Alvarez keeps cutting through people, Andre Ward knows, everyone, myself included, at this point, and even if Andre Ward had stayed active, I'd still be backing Alvarez to win. But I gotta admit, it'd be a 50-50 fight, which is how boxing is supposed to be, which is not how it ends up being these days. There's not many Hall of Famers knocking around today. I mean, look at Alvarez. Alvarez going up and down 2-3 weight divisions, and there isn't one Hall of Famer in there. The whole lot of them, just bums. Just a bunch of scary bums, not fighting no one. Refusing to fight each other, and just waiting for the Alvarez to bless them. Boxing's in a bad, nasty state, to be fair. A real bad state. It's down bad. And that's why we have to pray for old-time and retired dudes to come back, like Andre Ward. Because otherwise it ain't going to be interesting. The reason how you get to be in a Hall of Famer, how you get to be in the leagues, how you get to be where the fans want to see that fight, the reason people like the YB hardcore and casual, top-level casual fans want to see Andre Ward and Alvarez is because both men have proven that they can beat Hall of Famers, or they can beat high-level dudes. For example, at the time, Andre Ward beat Kovalev, stopped him. Which at that time, Kovalev was dangerous, super dangerous. And yeah, if you know me, I thought Andre Ward lost the first fight. But how he came back and stopped Kovalev, all I could do is applaud that. Because at that time, people forget, Andre Ward was known as having no power. He was known as a no power having ass. That's who he was. A no power having ass. Like Floyd. So the fact he went in there genuinely with a proper banger and stopped him, that's something Floyd had never done. That'd be like Floyd stopping Manny. He didn't do that. So we have to rate that. And what a lot of these new time heads don't get is that you have to fight people. Charlo, you have to fight Andrade. Billy Ho, you have to fight these guys. That's how you get to that level where people are watering at the mouth to see you fight Alvarez. You don't get that to that level. You don't get to Hall of Fame level by hanging around fighting bums just waiting for your chance. These guys need to be in. Like even Caleb Plant. Who's he been fighting? Why ain't he fighting Benavidez? That fight should have been done made already. The winner gets Alvarez is how it should be. But Alvarez is the only one with a contender mindset. He's doing the contender work. Alvarez fights like a contender 2-3 times a year. The best going. Meanwhile, the contenders sit there waiting, praying on their knees, begging for a payday. It's bad. But anyway, back to this thing with Andre Ward. You heard the talking words there from Andre Ward. Andre Ward said, listen, I'm training Caleb Plant, and your man's Alvarez, he don't mention my name like that. He don't say my name like that. And I've got to admit, you man know me, I like Alvarez. He's one of my favourite fighters. Well, definitely, probably is my favourite fighter right now. But one criticism of Alvarez, I will admit, is that he doesn't go looking for fights as such, I don't feel. That fight for me would be a fight him and his team should be actively seeking. They know Andre Ward's retired. But, like Andre Ward says, they never mention my name. Which is a fair point. They don't. If I was advising Alvarez, I'd be saying, right now, you should be in the media, on a campaign, trying to make that fight. Ward, we want you. Ward will give you 60-40 on a fight. We get 60%, you get 40% in terms of pay-per-view split or whatever. Let's do the fight, let's run it. That's what I think Alvarez should be doing right now. Now, I'm going to cover this in its own right, but Alvarez has replied to these comments from Ward and said that, Andre, I'll fight you and Plant back to back. Both of you man can jump in the ring. Plant and his granddad trainer, Andre Ward, can jump in there. Which is, obviously, I like that talk, but it needs to go deeper than that. It needs to go more serious than that. Who knows? To be fair to Alvarez, when Alvarez seldomly gets talking, but when he does, often the offers do come flowing in. But I'm not on the inside in that sense, so I've got to just speak my piece. And my piece is, if anyone from Team Alvarez, please actually send an offer. It's one thing saying both of you can get in the ring. It's another thing actually telling your manager or promoter, reach out to Ward and literally put an offer in his face. Or let's do a mini press conference on Zoom saying, listen, Andre Ward, we want you. 60-40 split, we want you bad. I'm dreaming about you. Yeah? I can't get you out of my mind, Ward. I rock hard for you. Yeah? Me and my wife are about to have a divorce because all I'll be thinking about is you all day and she can't handle it no more. Do you understand? Yeah? That's what I want to hear from Alvarez. I want to hear Alvarez sending offers. You know what I'm saying? Because if you send an offer, if you send a 60-40 offer and he says no, so be it. And make sure it's public. Why is it important it's public? So that you get the brownie points. If he says no, you in my opinion, when people say no to a fight, that counts as a point on your resume. Yeah, if Andre Ward, the bigger man, turns down a 40% split versus Alvarez, Alvarez can chalk that on his resume. Yes, Alvarez got the win. Simple as that. Especially after Andre Ward talked all that good talk about, oh, he don't call my name. But you've already heard my opinion. I do agree. Alvarez to this point hasn't never actually called Andre Ward's name like that, which is why I want him to do it. Cross it off the list. Get it in. I don't see why not. You smoked Kovalev easily in first gear. Yeah? Yes, Ward's better than Kovalev, but that's what sport's meant to be about, challenges. Now, to be fair to Alvarez, I know he's not scared of challenges. Why? He fought Triple G more or less in his prime. And at that time, he was moving up a weight. He went from 154 to 160. So he ain't scared. But And I guess the problem is with the Andre Ward fight is the Golovkin fight was big. The Andre Ward fight, it's not a Floyd Mayweather fight. It's not an obvious fight. If Andre Ward was like a small Floyd Mayweather, like Golovkin was, in as much as marketability, I think Alvarez would be more inclined to doing it. But for me as a boxing fan, and especially in 2021, guess what? Guess what the fans are? I know from Alvarez's point of view, he don't care about the fans, but I'm just saying, from the fans' point of view, you might have made enough money. Alvarez would probably he's getting paid 35 to fight bums or random people. He's probably going to make 50 million plus for the Andre Ward fight. And for me, at that level, when you're making $50 million a fight, I don't want to hear that, Andre Ward and enough money. I don't want to hear that. You've got plenty of money. You know what I'm saying? Why do you have to... Does every big Hall of Fame fight need to be a $100 million fight? I just don't like... Me personally, I don't like that. I'm over that as a fan. For me, yeah, fair enough. If you're getting paid 100 grand or 50 grand and you want to complain about needing more money, I can work with that. But when you're making 30, 40, 50 million, I don't want to hear about that, to be fair. Because any one of them fights is a retirement fight. Do you understand? Every single one of Alvarez's fights, he can retire on. $30 million richer. And live a good, solid celebrity life. Yeah? Not being funny, 33 million, yeah? You can put that in government bonds and get 3% back. What's 3%? Well, 10% of, yeah, that's $1 million a month. Sorry, $1 million a year. Just in interest, ticking over. And that's in bonds, guaranteed money coming in. Doing nothing, just sitting around. And that's off one fight. Alvarez has had 10 of them fights already. And the Floyd Mayweather fight. And the 2 Golovkin fights. So he ain't got this... But anyway, my point is... I think Alvarez could do this for the fans. Yeah? Plenty of money been made already. He don't need no more money. At this point, do one for the fans. Because we're interested in seeing you fight Caleb Plant. I want to see you fight the man who's never been beat before. Facts. He ain't been beat. That's what makes this fight interesting. Caleb Plant ain't been beat. No, he's bum. He ain't beat no one. And what I like about Andre Ward is that he is an IQ fighter. He went in there, to his credit, yeah, and solved the puzzle of Kovalev. Yes, he probably lost the first fight, but he came back and said, you know what, I'm going to prove I got his number, which is a very rare thing to do. Like I said, Floyd Mayweather, people say Floyd Mayweather solved the puzzle. There's solving the puzzle, beating someone in a boring 12-round fight, and then there's really solving the puzzle. Because for me, yeah, really solving the puzzle means you stop them. When you stop someone, you prove that's the ultimate, isn't it? Well, guess what? Your man Andre Ward, to his credit, actually really solved the puzzle. Not Floyd Mayweather, I'm going to prove I can run around for 12 rounds. Andre Ward went in there and smoked him. Bullied him. I have to respect that. And that's why I want to see the Alvarez fight. Because Alvarez has got the youth, got the bang. And your man... And to be fair, both fighters, they're very cerebral. Both fighters go in there. Look at how Alvarez dissected Billy Ho Saunders. It was methodic. Alvarez even predicted it. Round 8. And by the way, that was against the Billy Ho, who in himself is meant to be like Floyd Mayweather, allegedly. Even though it's not. But you know what I'm saying? They were saying, oh, Billy Ho Saunders, he's got too much IQ. So Alvarez and Andre Ward, they're both cerebral fighters. IQ fighters. I want to see the battle of the IQs. What Andre Ward gives up in age, Alvarez gives up in natural size. It's perfect. That's what the fans... Alvarez, if you hear this ever, that's what the fans want. That's what the fans demand. Don't want to say... Honestly, yeah, I'd rather... All I want to see now, genuinely, all I want to see is him fight Andre Ward. I'll be happy for him to retire on that fight. Why? There's nothing else around. I'd rather see him fight Ward than go and fight Charlo and all these random bums. We all know they're bums. Charlo can't fight the lower tier Mexican dudes. And he can do nothing with Alvarez. That doesn't intrigue me. Your man, Andre Ward, intrigues me. And to be honest, even the other 175ers, they don't intrigue me. None of them, let's be real now, Kovalev would have smoked all them other ones, in my opinion. Prime for prime. So, let's get on with the real fight, Andre Ward. Or, we all know we can't force someone to get in the ring, but I want Alvarez to put it out there publicly. We've sent him an offer, 60-40, and it is what it is. If Andre Ward turns it down, then we can all punk Andre Ward for being a punk and for talking rubbish about how he won't call you out. But the fact that Andre Ward's left it is, listen, he didn't want to mention my name. You have to answer that call right now. Especially after you've just said, I'll smoke both of them. Well, let's make it official then. Let's smoke both of them. Smoke Plant and then say, listen, I just smoked your protege. Now I want Big Daddy. Come on, Big Daddy. Big old looking ass. Let's get in there. Let's run it. Andre Ward. Goofy. No doubt.